Tech giant Apple and its supplier Foxconn have been under fire for abusing workers to make more profit. A recent audit set up by the companies, however, is showing signs of improvement in working conditions. But ironically, many workers are unhappy about the changes.
Workers at Foxconn in Shenzhen, China, jokingly called the factory that produces iPhones and iPads mortar. After 14 workers committed suicide by leaping off the building, the factory fell under scrutiny for abusing workers. Some accuse Apple of building its fortune on the backs of mistreated Chinese workers. But according to a recent report by auditors hired by Apple Inc. and Foxconn, things are changing. First, safety nets were put up to prevent successful suicide jumps. Then slightly more proactive measures were taken. Wages went up, overtime hours were cut. But for many of the migrant workers who come to Shenzhen to make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible, the cuts in overtime are not being well received.
Workers will only want less overtime if the basic pay that they're getting is sufficient to work within the mandated overtime hours. But if they can only get a decent wage by working what we might call excessive overtime, then that's what they're going to have to do. So it really will depend on the basic pay and what benefits that Foxconn provides.
Workers are still clocking in, on average, 60 hours of overtime a week, more than 20% the legal limit. Foxconn now says it will cut that to less than 9 hours a week.
If China's workers' quality and education and skills could be really improved and the productivity in China has been improved, then Chinese people and the Chinese workers deserve a higher wage, and then GDP growth rate in China can be sustained. GDP per capita in China should be higher. Then in this regard, this is a very natural process of economic growth.
Foxconn currently employs around 1 million in its city-sized factory.